times too cookie cutter with their drafts. They tend to stick very close to a specific meta every single time. I'd like to see them branch out a little bit, try something a little different, whether it's in the draft or actually in the game, that might put G2 on the back foot.
Well, speaking of the draft, we're into it now. G2 eSports now on the blue side. This is a best-of-3 final, so if G2 can take home one more victory, they will take home first place in the first week of the Autumn Evil 8. Lance is going to be the selection. That gives away double heal. Ooh.
So you're thinking here, like, you need to burst a target down. We always talk about with these siege comps, the double heal. If you're just doing a bit of damage to one target or spreading it out, you're not winning these fights. So, I mean, how do they draft around this?
They need something that has really high damage to pair alongside this Lance. This isn't something you want to worry about scaling with. Fortress. That's a good start to closing out this comp. The main thing you have to think about now is if you go triple melee, you do have the Lyra to put Bright Bulwark down. That could be a pretty big boon for you to be able to actually successfully get to the target.
Maybe Gankstars pick Rhyme if they go triple melee. You like having a tanky guy as your third with double heal?
Yeah.
Rhyme can do that.
That is very true. The biggest difference in this specific situation with a Rhyme pickup is because Fortress is on the table. Fortress Bleed proc, the Mortal Wound, will make him far less effective. They don't go with Rhyme, they go with the Rona.
This is deja vu.
Yeah, Rona's gonna have an interesting time though, because the thing about once again, the Mortal Wound, it does affect her barrier, her ability to stay alive when she's spinning, and of course Lance with his Githian wall knocking Rona away from the target she wants to get to. But it's gonna be an exciting matchup. Either draft has potential.
My biggest confusion with G2's draft, I suppose, is the Baron, right? Like, Crystal Baron takes a while to scale up. Weapon Baron is the same. As Humanists keep saying, you really need those 2 tier 3 items to do work.
But, I mean, they've got a Ronin here. Ronin needs to scale as well.
That's true.
Well, we'll see if these extremely too low-speed attacking can actually proc the bleed in this game.
All right, G2 Esports, Gankstars Cerberus. This could be the final game for Europe this week. G2 looking to close it out. Let's throw it on over to our shoutcasters, Excoundrel and Sona.
Thank you very much, guys. Almost didn't unmute my microphone, but we are into this second game of the series here. Dark Potato and Redix running with the Fortress, which into a double heal makes very, very good sense to me. Sona, those mortal wounds can be incredibly debilitating, especially towards a Rona as well, who obviously relies on Red Mist to really provide sustainability when she picks up that Serpent Mask.
Hundle's already taking a lot of pressure from this Lyra, though. He's going to have to pop a potion to keep himself in this lane, and actually Reddick's going to come up and spot out Netwiller in the jungle. Dark Potato and Techno JJ are going to meet each other, but Techno can just jump away across that wall. I have to feel like Gankstars have got a superior draft here. You talk about the Mortal Wounds, and there is a strength that Impale onto Netwiller once again overextends a little bit, and Dark Potato and Reddick's able to get the first kill of the game. Even with that first kill going down, you have very slow attacking heroes on the side of G2. Mortal Wounds takes a bit of time to stack up to get that full burst, and I have to feel that Gankstars, if they play this composition correctly, should be able to win this one out.
Yeah. No, I probably still, even despite the draft, prefer Gankstars. However, let's have a look at where G2 can actually make an impact. Now, Rona will have to make a decision. Does she jump at Baron, which I think would be the more sensible decision, or does she try and stay and use Red Mist on the Lance and Fortress and try and use it, you know, like we saw, I think it was yesterday, we saw Rona just rip people to shreds with Red Mist when it was a triple melee jumping in to try and burst someone down. I think you have to think about it in that respect. If Rona jumps onto Hundor, then he immediately is forced backwards. He probably can't kite versus her very well, really has to time the use of his jump. Or if she stays around and tries to deal with Redix and Lance, she can get knocked up, she can get locked in, she can get Githian wall stun, she can get impaled, and then you just have Hundor applying pressure, splash damage pressure, which is because it's likely to be a weapon power Baron in the backline, and there isn't much she can do about it then. So again, it's a lot of it is decision-making process in this game. What is this Rona going to do? Is she going to single-handedly target Baron every time, or is she going to be there as a defensive utility against this Fortress and Lance?
There's always a risk for G2 though, because they're going double weapon power. You can just stack those atlases, you can just stack that armor. I'd actually probably like to see full metal jackets more than atlases, because you're not really going to be able to get an atlas down on Baron because he can just jump away too quickly. And we're going to see, you don't tend to see a lot of attack speed coming out from Lance. So Full Metal Jacket, to me, is more cost efficient when you're building into this G2 lineup. They will step forward. Porcupine Mortar comes out. Dark Potato misses the Impale. Techno's going to go for the chase. Another Porcupine Mortar is not quite going to connect on it towards that Rona. She's going to keep chasing. Can she get the kill here onto any of the G2 members? Not quite, but will get away with her life. Double heals. So powerful from Irakizora, and Netwilek will just force G2 back once again.
Absolutely. Very difficult for G2 to duel in that sense, and obviously Baron has a point where he gets online, really like Humanist said, 2 tier 3 items needed for him to have a major impact when it comes to team fighting. So I feel like Gankstars Cerberus have a large window of time here where they can look to try and exploit. Dark Potato goes in here when Baron had just backed off.
He's going to survive. It's fine.
He's going to survive.
He knows what he's doing. Oh, he's used to surviving. Potatoes do. They'll grow anywhere. I had some growing in my kitchen cupboards the other day. It was a bit odd.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that was my story, man. Dark potatoes can survive anywhere. It's fine.
Yeah, well, they actually survive better in dark areas.
Is that a dark potato specifically surviving better in dark areas, or is that just potatoes in general?
Just potatoes in general, my friend.
An informative cast here with Excam. But it's going to try and run in on towards Irakizora. Not going to be able to get too much down. Porcupine Mortar hits onto Netwilek, but isn't going to take too much from him, especially with that Adagio just around the corner. He can heal him up with the Gift of Fire, and once again just force G2 back away from the fight.
Yeah, and I think G2 are going to struggle to deal with the pressure of Irakizora in lane. Baron, as you saw, it's finding it very difficult to trade with Adagio early on, especially once alternating currents comes down, and if laning phase is still going, you'll start to see that hurt even more. Like I said, you really can't do much as Dark Potato and Redix right now until Baron has at least picked up some of his core itemization. So I feel for the most part, there's a good another 5 to 6 minutes where we'll probably see Gankstars Cerberus just dominate in terms of pressure on the map. I don't even know if G2 will look to fight in that particular time either, Sona.
I don't think they will. I think Gankstars are very happy to try and put the pressure down, but if G2 are playing correctly, they shouldn't really be fighting too early on. They want to get scaling. Redix actually going to get taken down here. Irakizora is the target from Dark Potato, but Hundo was just having to stand back and defend his turret and wasn't able to help out his roam at all. The fortress is dead, and Gankstars Cerberus are looking to break down the fortress that G2 had in the first game. G2 really played that first game incredibly well, but I feel they've been outdrafted here by Gankstars Cerberus, who are going to take the first gold mine of this matchup.
Absolutely, and that is, again, like I said, G2 probably just can't fight. And this is actually something good that Gangstar Cerberus are doing, because they know they have the advantage, and they know if they just go and take these global objectives, they'll get them for almost free, pending G2 making a really solid engage. So I think this is what Gangstar Cerberus need to do. If G2 are not going to come and fight, then they just continuously look to strangle things out, either by taking away jungle or just getting these gold mines over and over again.
Once again, G2 forced back to their turret. A slight gold lead extending here for Gangstar Cerberus as they continue just to put the pressure onto G2. Hundor has gone up towards what appears to be a Solarblade build. It's what we really expect from him. Solarblade Breaking Point is kind of the weapon power Baron build of choice. Tension bow finished on Dark Potato. He's going towards that Storm Crown himself. And he's actually one of the first members we saw to do it on the Taka as well. Double Porcupine Mortar. Techno JJ pushed back here. But Hundor, not even level 6 yet, can't really get the damage down. He wants that Ion Cannon available for when these fights start breaking out. Attack of the Packs used. Hundor's just hit 6. There's the Porcupine Mortars and the Ion Cannon coming down as well. Not going to connect onto anyone. And Gangstar Cerberus able to retreat their way away. A little bit telegraphed, in my opinion, from G2 there. Oh, Scout Trap kill as well on towards Redix. Dark Potato now going to try and face up against Techno JJ. But the heals are just too strong coming out from Gangstar Cerberus.
Yeah, and that is one of the problems. Oh, wow.
Dump in by Hundor. Going to try and take Irakizora down. Just gets him. But the ace will come out for Gangstar Cerberus. Netwilek able to help solidify that kill for his laner. I guess Nesh is a man, Lyra is a woman. That's where the pronoun distinction comes in. But they're going to get the turret here, and Gangstar Cerberus taking an early advantage in this matchup.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I expected. G2, I guess, felt like they had to fight, otherwise they just end up losing too much on the map. But they just don't have the power right now to do so. It looks like we're going to see a Storm Crown from Dark Potato, by the way. So going back towards that Storm Crown on-hit build that has been fairly popular on Lance this particular weekend. And that's just because of the changes to Storm Crown in 1.22. Just has become that much more powerful as an on-hit. So we'll see that from Lance. We'll see how much impact he can have with Githian Wall and with Impale with that particular build. Maybe it'll be effective when combined with those Mortal Wounds.
That is the big question. I think like G2, their early game is nowhere near strong enough to face up against Gangstar Cerberus. And with Techno JJ building Breaking Point first, he's going to be incredibly powerful in these fights. Question is whether G2 can survive for long enough for Hundor to be doing the damage we expect him to be doing on this weapon power Baron. It's worked out for teams before in the Evil 8 the split, but thus far, I haven't really seen it in this game.
No, absolutely, and if Gankstars Cerberus can take a game away from here from G2, it'll be one of the first times that we've really seen G2 actually look to struggle. I mean, obviously G2 had a best of 3 yesterday. Everybody had a best of 3 yesterday, but they looked so good this this sort of first series of this day. Obviously, we'll update you if we hear from the final game of the Team Secret game.
Pretty sure Team Secret won it. I just saw Mowgli posting on Twitter they got 3rd place, and the Rising Lotus squad have said they got 4th. So
okay, there we go.
Pretty sure Team Secret won the 3rd, 4th place matchup.
Anyway, Net Toilette, Techno JJ, and Iraqi now moving as a unit. Probably can look to again, just they've already controlled that gold mine. They'll probably get another one out before.
Airbnb loves talking about paying taxes. What they don't want you to know is
They're is close towards that breaking point. Now, those are the 2 items that I think are going to be key here for Hundor, but still, that doesn't solve all the problems for G2 right now, because I still think Techno JJ is single-handedly going to be a threat enough to Hundor that you're left with a tension bow Lance and a Fortress, who looks like he's going towards Aftershock first, directly after Fountain, by the way. So kind of are looking to aim for a burst, I guess, onto Iraqi Zorro. But you're leaving them to deal with Net Toilette and Iraqi Zorro, who will just be able to kite them for days sooner.
Techno jumps in with the red mist, gets on towards Hundor. The Fountain has to be used there by Redix just to keep his laner alive. Dark Potato not having the performance we expect of him on this lance just quite yet. Has got that Storm Ground, has got the Tension Bow as well, so will do a lot of damage, but into someone like Arona and into a double heal, it's incredibly difficult to get consistent damage to actually stick on towards this Gangstar's lineup.
I think the main issue that the main issue that you're gonna get with this particular situation is that the Bright Bulwark is going to be the killer for both Dark Potato and Redix, and if it's used properly...
Oh, Double Man Impale might be the killer here for Gangstar Cerberus. Redix is going to jump in, but look at the heals coming out from Gangstars. They just heal after heal, another double Impale, but once again the heals come out. Burst of Judgment used there by Irakizo. Here come the Porcupine Missiles. Redix lands 1. Net Toilette has to use Arcane Passage to get away. G2 looking... Well, it's only Redix looking for the chase. And they're gonna back away for now. Techno JJ on full HP. Iraqi Zorro there as well. Just uses that Gift of Fire on towards Techno JJ. Actually, it was the Agent of Wrath. And here come the Porcupine Missiles once again. The Mortars from across the wall. There's the Impale. 1 kill down. Now G2 looking for the fight. Hundor is there. Iraqi Zorro's gonna take a lot of pain. 1 more auto will be enough with the Impale as well. Gangstar Cerberus chased way too hard for that. And G2 were able to turn it around in their faces.
Yeah, absolutely. Gangstar Cerberus looked completely on top during the most of that fight right there, especially just kiting back with that Bright Bulwark, but they just chased a little bit too far, and obviously, again, there is this paradox that if you don't focus down Hundor, then he will just continue to apply pressure from that back line, and you have to make that decision as Techno JJ whether you jump onto Hundor or you jump onto someone, or you stay and use Red Mist to act defensively against Dark Potato and Redix, but that doesn't deal with the threat of Hundor. So it's an interesting decision-making process that I look forward when we get a proper 3 versus 3 when all of these items have been said and done. It looks like Hundor's even just foregoing Reflex Block and going straight towards what I think is going to be a Tyrant's Monocle.
I'm talking about build parts. I mean, it's going to be a Tyrant's Monocle, but alongside that, Dark Potato looks like he's going towards an Aftershock. Lance's crystal ratio as well, the stun duration on his Impale was actually buffed ever so slightly with crystal power this patch. It's not a huge buff, but he's going Tension Bow, Aftershock, Storm Crown. It's really on hit, and you get that little bit extra from the crystal power you're building. A very interesting build coming out here from Dark Potato.
Yeah, wow, it's literally full on hit. So this is the first time I think we've seen Aftershock put into the fray as well, and that's really just, I think maybe land as much team-wide damage as possible, because obviously Lance, your basic attacks will hit multiple targets. Githian Wall, like you said, applies on hit effects, and it's kind of really going for that full burst build that Lance kind of rolls with. The issue is if you miss your Impale, you kind of get stuck in no man's land. And it is a very risky build to run with, but it kind of makes sense. And obviously, with the Aftershock being there on Fortress too, you know, if they do get onto Iraqi Zoro, he'll be in a very, very tough position.
That they will. He's got the War Treads for himself, though, to try and escape. Techno jumps in a little bit. What he can do to Dark Potato. They now know, of course, that he's got that tension bow. Some good vision control, actually, coming out from Gankstars Cerberus. They've got a lot of scout traps around this gold miner. And they've got the flares to spot out G2 as they push forward. They'll take away a Treant for now. Stars able to solidify their advantage. Only 1,000 gold up, though. And of course, G2 won the first game of this best of 3. So G2 are looking to take their first Evil 8 split. Gankstars looking to do the same. Correctly, although I think Gankstars may have won 1 in the summer season. Might not be right with that, but I think they've already won 1.
Yes, I think so. So, going to run down the rest of the builds. We've got Broken Myth coming out on Iraqi Zoro. That's just the standard 1-2 alternating current into Broken Myth. Rona has gone, or Techno JJ has gone for those Atlas Pauldrons. So maybe specifically looking to deal with Hundor. That does maybe indicate that he does want to jump into the fray, literally, and try and proc that Atlas Pauldrons. And then we'll see the Serpent's Mask come through, and that will give him that extra sustain needed. So War Tread's also there for Net Toilette, so that will give a little bit extra over to Techno JJ. But if Techno JJ does choose to commit, then he does put himself between Dark Potato and Redix and Hundor, so he could be focused pretty easily. Looks like the gold mine being started.
To the front line. The gold mine has been taken away here by G2, but it's all about if Redix can get out of this one alive. Impale misses onto Irakizo, putting the damage down from the side. Double Githian War, though. Techno will fall. Net Toilette tries to get himself away, but it's not enough to escape from Hundor. And now Irakizo, the target. They pick up a clean ace off a fight that Gankstars started themselves. G2 will get the ace. They'll get the turret as well. They'll get the gold miner, and they'll take the gold lead for one of the first times in this game.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is starting to get to the point where you've got those items on the weapon power Baron, and it's becoming an issue because, like I said, Techno JJ has to make that decision between does he try and single out Hundor or does he try and play a defensive sort of red mist for his team? I'm not sure what the correct answer is, because if you jump into the fray and get to Hundor, then I actually think Dark Potato and Redix can turn around very easily and peel for Hundor. Whereas actually there isn't really that element of peel that Rona provides for her particular carry in the form of Iraqi Zoro. You've only got that Bright Bulwark, which only lasts for a limited period of time now. You don't really apply any hard CC in that situation either. And then Techno JJ is kind of left in the middle of nowhere.
Techno steps forward, but Githian War will knock him back into the Impale as well. Techno just can't survive through the fight. Dark Potato is melting him away. Iraqi Zoro now the target. He'll fall as well. And the Kraken's pushing in here. G2 have turned this one totally on its head. They've absolutely melted through. And I have to feel a lot of it's the build coming out from Dark Potato. Being able to burst through Techno JJ, burst through those heals. He's doing such a great job on this Lance. And an amazing... It's been an amazing week as well from G2. They're going to take the crystal turrets down. They should be able to take the Vein Crystal as well. Techno JJ and Iraqi Zoro try to have something to say about it, but the Kraken is there. This is going to be the first time that G2 win a week of the Evil 8, and they have performed superbly to do it.
Oh, that's so good from G2. And not only that, they were prioritizing their targets incredibly well. And do you know why they were prioritizing their targets incredibly well? They knew the only threat to Hundor was going to be that Rona. So they lock Rona up, who is actually pretty susceptible to hard CC. You know, stuff that Lance provides, stuff that, you know, essentially all Lance provides. And obviously the single target damage, combine that with the Fortress, is very strong. You shut down Rona's ability to sustain with Red Mist with the Fortress, and they prioritize the Rona and deal with the Adagio afterwards. They are fully confident in the fact that Adagio is not going to be able to single-handedly deal with everybody whilst they'll kill Rona. And obviously,